There is a weapon so powerful that it has brought kings to their knees, silenced the fiercest accusers, and transformed the course of entire generations. Yet most people never discover it because they are too busy screaming, defending, and burning themselves in the fire of reactive emotions. This weapon is not aggression, it is not words, it is not strategy, it is silence. But not just any silence, not the silence of cowardice, not the silence of suppression, not the silence that eats you alive from the inside while you pretend everything is fine. No, this is the silence of power, the silence of spiritual mastery, the silence that the ancient sages of Israel called the fence around wisdom, the silence that guards your soul, elevates your destiny, and transforms your enemies into witnesses of your greatness. Right now, someone has hurt you, someone has lied about you, someone has betrayed you, stolen from you, mocked you in public, or tried to destroy what you built with your own hands. And inside you, there is a fire burning, a desire to respond, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to make them pay. And the world tells you, speak up, defend yourself, don't let them get away with it. But Jewish wisdom whispers something completely different. It says, he who guards his mouth guards his soul. It says, silence is a fence around wisdom. It says, the one who can restrain their tongue in the moment of fury holds the keys to their own freedom. Most people will spend their entire lives trapped in cycles of reaction. They will defend themselves against every accusation. They will fight every battle. They will waste their energy, their time, their peace, and their destiny trying to prove their worth to people who will never acknowledge it. And they will wonder why their lives feel so heavy, why they never break through, why the same patterns repeat over and over again. Because they never learned the ancient code. They never learned that true power is not in the reaction, it is in the refusal to react. They never learned that silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate display of self-control, spiritual maturity, and unshakable confidence in the justice of the Creator. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover a principle so deep, so transformative, and so contrary to everything modern culture teaches you, that it will feel uncomfortable at first. But if you stay with me until the end, you will understand why the greatest minds in Jewish history chose silence over speech, dignity over defense, and trust in divine justice over the desperate need to be right. This is not about suppressing your emotions. This is not about being passive. This is not about letting people walk all over you. This is about reclaiming your power. This is about understanding that every word you speak in reaction gives your enemy exactly what they want, your energy, your attention, your peace. And when you learn to guard your silence the way a king guards his treasury, everything changes. Your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become sharper. Your presence becomes more powerful. And the people who tried to destroy you will be forced to watch as you rise, not because you fought them, but because you refuse to descend to their level. Before we continue, I want to invite you to do two things. First, if this message is already resonating with you, subscribe to this channel right now. This is where we dive deep into the ancient wisdom that modern culture forgot, the wisdom that actually transforms lives, not just motivates them for a day. Second, comment below and tell me, what country are you watching from? I want to know where this community is growing. We are building something powerful here, and you are part of it. Now let's go deeper. Let me shatter an illusion right now. You have been taught that strength means standing your ground, that power means never backing down, that silence in the face of injustice is cowardice. And because of this belief, you are exhausted. You are tired of defending yourself, tired of explaining yourself, tired of fighting battles that drain you but never actually change anything. You have spent years trying to prove your worth to people who will never see it, and you are starting to wonder if something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. What is wrong is the entire framework you were taught. Modern culture worships reaction. It celebrates the quick comeback, the clever insult, the public takedown. It trains you to believe that your value is determined by how well you can defend yourself in the court of public opinion. But Jewish wisdom operates on a completely different frequency. It teaches that your value is not determined by what people say about you. It is not determined by how loudly you defend yourself. It is not determined by how many arguments you win. Your value is determined by your alignment with truth, with discipline, with the divine order that governs all creation. And when you understand this, when you truly internalize this, you stop needing to respond to every voice that rises against you. Because you realize that the battle is not in the words, the battle is in the mind. The sages teach us a concept that most people never grasp. The mouth is the servant of the heart, and the heart is the servant of the mind. When someone insults you, betrays you, or tries to provoke you, they are not attacking your reputation. They are testing your mind. They are trying to pull you into their chaos, their frequency, their field of disorder. And if you respond, you lose, not because they were right, but because you allowed them to control your energy, your focus, your peace. Think of it this way. Imagine you are holding a vessel of light. This vessel represents your life force, your mental clarity, your spiritual energy. Every time you react to an attack, you pour that light out onto the ground. You give it away to someone who does not deserve it. And slowly, over time, your vessel becomes empty. You become depleted, bitter, reactive, defensive, trapped in a cycle where every day is a battle and every interaction is a war. This is not strength. This is slavery. True strength is keeping the vessel full. It is refusing to pour your light onto people who only want to extinguish it. It is understanding that your silence is not a weakness. It is a declaration that your energy is too valuable to waste on those who operate in darkness. The Talmud says, "Who is mighty? He who conquers his impulse. Not he who conquers his enemies, not he who wins every argument, not he who has the last word, he who conquers himself." And the first battleground of self-conquest is the tongue. Because the tongue is the only part of your body that can destroy your entire future with a single sentence. It can ruin relationships. It can sabotage opportunities. It can create enemies where none existed before. And once the words are out, you cannot take them back. This is why silence is not passivity, it is precision. It is the conscious choice to guard your power, to protect your peace, and to trust that the universe will balance the scales in its own time. You are not responsible for defending yourself against every lie. You are not responsible for correcting every false narrative. You are not responsible for making people see your value. You are only responsible for one thing: living in such alignment with truth that your life becomes the answer to every question, the proof against every accusation, and the testimony that silences all doubt. When you live like this, you do not need to speak. Your life speaks for you. Let us go deeper into the foundation. Jewish wisdom is not philosophy. It is not theory. It is not abstract spirituality that makes you feel good but changes nothing. It is a system, a precise, eternal system of cause and effect that governs every aspect of reality, including the reality of your mind, your words, and your destiny. At the core of this system is a principle that most people never learn. Free will is the ability to choose your response, and your response determines your future, not your circumstances, not what people do to you, not what happened in your past, your response. The Torah teaches us that human beings are created in the image of God. But what does that mean? Does it mean we look like God? No. It means we have the same power God has, the power to create through choice. God spoke, and the universe came into being. Let there be light, and there was light. You speak, and your reality begins to take shape. Your words, your thoughts, your responses, they are not neutral. They are creative forces. They build worlds or destroy them. This is why the sages built an entire system of discipline around speech. They called it guarding the tongue, shmirat halashon, because they understood something that modern psychology is only now beginning to discover. The way you speak shapes the way you think, and the way you think shapes the way you live. When you speak in anger, you strengthen anger in your mind. When you speak in defensiveness, you strengthen insecurity in your heart. When you speak in revenge, you bind yourself to the very person you are trying to escape. But when you choose silence, conscious, powerful, disciplined silence, you break the chain. You refuse to give energy to chaos. You refuse to feed the fire. You refuse to let someone else's disorder become your reality. And in that refusal, something miraculous happens. You begin to align with a higher order. The Talmud teaches, the world stands on three things, on Torah, on service, and on acts of kindness. But underneath these three is a foundation that holds them all, self-mastery, because without self-mastery, there is no true service, there is only reaction. Without self-mastery, there is no true kindness, there is only performance. Without self-mastery, there is no connection to truth, there is only ego. And the first test of self-mastery is always the same. Can you stay silent when everything inside you wants to explode? Can you hold your tongue when you are falsely accused? Can you refuse to defend yourself when you are misunderstood? Can you walk away from an argument you could easily win because you understand that winning the argument means losing your peace? This is not easy. In fact, it is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Because silence requires trust. It requires trust that there is a divine order at work, a system of justice that sees everything, knows everything, and balances everything in its own time. The sages called this principle midah keneged midah, measure for measure. It means that the universe operates on precision. Every action has a consequence. Every word creates a ripple. Every silence holds power. When someone wrongs you, the natural instinct is to balance the scales yourself, to defend yourself, to retaliate, to make sure they know they cannot get away with it. But Jewish wisdom teaches the opposite. It teaches that when you choose silence, you hand the situation over to a higher court. You trust that the Creator, who sees all, will bring justice in a way far more perfect than anything you could orchestrate. And here is the secret that will change everything. God does not multiply your desires. He multiplies your processes. If your process is reaction, He will multiply your chaos. If your process is defensiveness, He will multiply your battles. If your process is revenge, He will multiply your enemies. But if your process is silence, discipline, and trust in divine justice, He will multiply your peace, your clarity, and your elevation. This is not passive. This is not weak. This is the highest form of spiritual warfare. And it always wins. Let me tell you about a man named David. David was 38 years old, a hard-working man who had spent 15 years building a small business in his community. He was not rich, but he was honest. He treated his employees well. He paid his debts. He showed up every day, even when it was hard. And then one day everything fell apart. A former business partner, someone David had trusted, someone he had helped when no one else would, started spreading lies about him. Vicious lies. He told people that David had stolen money from the business, that he had cheated clients, that he was dishonest and could not be trusted. Within weeks, the rumors had spread through the entire community. Clients started canceling contracts. Suppliers stopped returning his calls. People he had known for years crossed the street to avoid him, and David was furious. He wanted to fight back. He wanted to expose the truth. He wanted to gather evidence, hire a lawyer, make public statements, and destroy the reputation of the man who had destroyed his. Every night he lay awake imagining what he would say, how he would prove his innocence, how he would make everyone see that he was the victim, not the villain. But then something happened. One evening, David went to visit his elderly uncle, a man who had studied Torah his entire life. David poured out his heart. He told him everything, the betrayal, the lies, the injustice of it all. His uncle listened in silence, and when David finished, the old man looked at him and said, "Do you want to win this battle, or do you want to win your life?" David did not understand. "What do you mean?" he asked. "If I do not defend myself, everyone will believe the lies. My business will be destroyed, my reputation will be ruined." His uncle nodded. "Perhaps, but let me ask you something. If you spend the next year fighting this man, defending yourself, proving your innocence, what will you become?" David thought about it. "I will become angry, obsessed, consumed by it." "Exactly," his uncle said. "You will become a slave to his lies. Every day you will wake up thinking about him. Every conversation you will want to defend yourself. Every decision you will make based on what people think of you. And in the end, even if you prove him wrong, you will have lost something far more valuable than your reputation." "What?" David asked. "Your peace, your clarity, your soul." The old man leaned forward. "The sages teach us who is mighty. he who conquers his impulse. Not he who conquers his enemies. You cannot control what he says. You cannot control what people believe, but you can control one thing, your response. And if you choose silence, if you choose to walk away from this battle and trust that the Creator sees everything, you will discover a power you never knew you had. David did not believe him, not at first, but something in those words stayed with him, and slowly, painfully, he made a choice. He stopped defending himself. He stopped explaining. He stopped trying to convince people of the truth. He stopped thinking about revenge. Instead, he focused on his work. He showed up every day. He treated his remaining clients with excellence. He kept his promises. He lived with integrity even when no one was watching, and it was hard. There were days when he wanted to scream, days when someone would look at him with suspicion, and he wanted to grab them by the shoulders and tell them the truth. Days when he saw his former partner walking through town, successful and unbothered, and he wanted to expose him in front of everyone. But he did not. He chose silence, and something incredible began to happen. Slowly, people started to notice. They noticed that David never spoke badly about his accuser. They noticed that he never defended himself. They noticed that he kept his head down, did his work, and carried himself with quiet dignity. And they started to wonder. If David was really guilty, why was he not fighting back? If the accusations were true, why did he seem so calm, so unbothered, so focused on his work instead of his reputation? One by one, people began to question the lies. They began to see the inconsistencies in the story. They began to realize that the loudest voice is not always the truest voice. And within a year, everything had shifted. Clients returned, opportunities opened. People who had once avoided him began to seek him out, apologizing for believing the lies. And his accuser, the man who had tried to destroy him, he destroyed himself. Because lies require constant maintenance. They require more lies to cover the first lies. And eventually, the weight of deception becomes too heavy to carry. One day, David heard that his former partner had been caught in another scheme. His reputation was ruined, not by David, but by his own actions. And David felt no satisfaction, no sense of victory, no desire to gloat. He only felt gratitude, gratitude that he had not wasted a year of his life fighting a battle that was never his to fight. Gratitude that he had chosen silence over speech, dignity over defense, trust over control. His uncle had been right. By refusing to fight, David had won something far greater than the battle. He had won his peace, his clarity, his soul. And he had discovered a truth that most people never learn. The most powerful revenge is not what you say or do to your enemy. It is what you refuse to become because of them. Now let us go to the heart of this entire teaching. Why is silence the most powerful revenge? Because true revenge is not about harming your enemy. It is about proving that they could not harm you. Think about what your enemy wants. They want you to suffer. They want you to be consumed by anger, bitterness, and obsession. They want you to descend to their level, to fight in the mud, to become just as petty, just as reactive, just as miserable as they are. And every time you respond, every time you defend yourself, every time you try to prove them wrong, you give them exactly what they want. You show them that they have power over you. You show them that your peace depends on their opinion. You show them that you are still trapped in their game. But when you choose silence, when you refuse to engage, refuse to explain, refuse to defend, you do something that they cannot comprehend. You take your power back. You show them that their words have no weight in your world, that their lies cannot touch your truth, that their chaos cannot disturb your peace. And this is what destroys them, because people who live in chaos need others to join them in it. They need to pull you down, to make you as miserable as they are, to validate their own bitterness by seeing it reflected in you. But when you remain calm, when you remain silent, when you remain focused on your own path, you hold up a mirror that they cannot bear to look into. Your silence becomes proof of their emptiness. Your peace becomes proof of their chaos. Your elevation becomes proof that they could not stop you. This is why the sages taught, silence is a fence around wisdom, because wisdom is not loud. It does not need to defend itself. It does not need to be right in the eyes of others. It simply is. And when you operate from wisdom, you understand something that reactive people will never grasp. The battle is not in the external world. The battle is in the mind. If someone insults you and you respond with anger, who won? They did. Because they succeeded in disturbing your peace, in stealing your focus, in pulling you away from your purpose. But if someone insults you and you remain silent, unmoved, focused on your path, who won? You did. Because you proved that their words have no power over your reality. The Talmud tells a story of Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest sages in Jewish history. He was once walking through the marketplace when a man approached him and spat in his face in front of a crowd. The students of Rabbi Akiva were furious. They wanted to defend him, to punish the man, to restore their teacher's honor. But Rabbi Akiva raised his hand and stopped them. He looked at the man, wiped his face, and said calmly, "You have mistaken me for someone else," and he walked away. Later, his students asked him, "Why did you not defend yourself? Why did you not let us punish him?" Rabbi Akiva smiled, "Because the moment I engage with his chaos, I give it power. The moment I respond to his disrespect, I validate it. But by remaining silent, by refusing to descend to his level, I showed him something far more powerful than any words could convey. That his actions have no effect on who I am. This is the principle. Your silence is not a lack of response. It is the highest form of response. It says, I do not need to defend myself, because the truth will reveal itself. I do not need to prove my worth, because my worth is not determined by your opinion. I do not need to fight you, because I am already operating on a higher plane. And here is what most people miss. Silence is not about the other person. It is about you. It is about reclaiming your mental space. It is about protecting your energy. It is about refusing to let someone else's disorder become your reality. Every time you speak in reaction, you give away your power. Every time you defend yourself, you admit, on some level, that their accusation has weight. Every time you try to convince someone of your value, you reinforce the belief that your value needs convincing. But when you stay silent, when you walk away, when you refuse to engage, you declare your sovereignty. You declare that your peace is more important than their opinion, that your path is more important than their approval, that your destiny is more important than their lies. And in that declaration, you win. Not because you defeated them, but because you refuse to be defeated by them. This is the ancient code. This is the secret that the sages guarded for thousands of years. And this is what will set you free. Now let me give you 3 specific principles from Jewish wisdom that will transform the way you handle conflict, betrayal, and injustice. These are not theories. These are not motivational ideas. These are mental frameworks that have been tested and proven over thousands of years. Principle 1. The tongue is fire. Guard it like your life depends on it. The book of Proverbs teaches, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Not the tongue has some influence, not words matter. No, death and life. The 2 most extreme outcomes of human existence. Your tongue can create life. It can build relationships, inspire hope, open doors, heal wounds. Or it can create death. It can destroy reputations, ruin opportunities, end friendships, poison your own mind. Most people treat speech casually. They say whatever comes to mind. They react without thinking. They speak in anger, in defensiveness, in pride. And they wonder why their lives feel so chaotic. Because every word you speak is a seed. And seeds grow. Some seeds grow into gardens. Some seeds grow into thorns that choke everything around them. The sages taught that there are 3 sins so severe that they are considered equivalent to idolatry, murder, and forbidden relations. Lashon hara, speaking negatively about others, even if it is true. Why is this so serious? Because when you speak about others, you are not just transmitting information. You are shaping reality. You are influencing how people think, how they feel, how they act. And once those words are out, you cannot control what they become. This is why silence is so powerful, because every time you refuse to speak in reaction, you are refusing to plant a seed of chaos. You are choosing to guard your garden instead of poisoning it. The common mistake: people think that speaking their mind is authenticity, that holding back is dishonesty. But Jewish wisdom teaches the opposite. Real authenticity is alignment with truth. And truth does not need to be spoken in every moment. Sometimes the truest thing you can do is say nothing at all. The long-term impact. If you spend years speaking without discipline, you will create a life filled with unnecessary conflict, broken relationships, and missed opportunities. But if you learn to guard your tongue, you will build a life of peace, respect, and lasting influence. Daily application. Before you speak, ask yourself, will this word create life or death? Will it build or destroy? Is it necessary, true, and kind? If the answer is no to any of these, choose silence. Principle 2. React to the battle, lose the war, respond to the purpose, win everything. The Talmud teaches, who is wise? He who sees the consequences. Most people react to the moment. Someone insults them, they insult back. Someone betrays them, they seek revenge. Someone criticizes them, they defend themselves. And they think they are winning. They think they are standing up for themselves, but they are not. They are losing the war while fighting the battle, because every reaction pulls you away from your purpose. Every defense pulls you away from your path. Every moment spent proving yourself is a moment stolen from building yourself. Jewish wisdom teaches that life is not a series of isolated moments. Life is a chain of cause and effect, a continuous flow of decisions that compound over time. When you react to every provocation, you are choosing short-term relief over long-term victory. You are choosing the satisfaction of being right over the power of being effective. The sages understood this deeply. They taught that the wise person does not respond to the situation, they respond to the vision. If your vision is peace, you do not respond to chaos. If your vision is growth, you do not respond to pettiness. If your vision is elevation, you do not respond to people trying to pull you down. The common mistake. People think that not responding means they are weak, that they are letting people get away with it. But silence is not permission. Silence is discernment. It is the recognition that not every battle is worth fighting, and that sometimes the strongest move is to walk away. The long-term impact. If you spend your life reacting to every provocation, you will arrive at the end of your days exhausted, bitter, and wondering why you never achieved what you were capable of. But if you learn to respond only to your purpose, you will build a life of meaning, impact, and fulfillment. Daily application. When someone provokes you, pause. Ask yourself, does responding to this move me closer to my vision, or does it pull me away? If it pulls you away, let it go. Principle 3. Your enemy is your mirror. What they trigger in you, you must heal in you. Here is a principle that will make you uncomfortable, but it is one of the most transformative teachings in all of Jewish wisdom. The sages taught, the world is a mirror. What you see in others is often a reflection of what exists within you. When someone attacks you, betrays you, or tries to provoke you, they are not just revealing their character, they are revealing yours. Not because you are guilty of what they accuse you of, but because your reaction reveals what is unhealed within you. If you feel the need to defend yourself constantly, it reveals insecurity. If you feel the need to prove your worth, it reveals a lack of internal validation. If you feel the need to destroy your enemy, it reveals that you are still giving them power over your peace. This is not about blame. This is about awareness. The Talmud teaches that every challenge in life is an opportunity for tikkun, repair, correction, elevation. The people who hurt you are not accidents. They are mirrors, showing you where you still need to grow. The common mistake, people think that if they are hurt, they are the victim, and the other person is the villain. And while this may be true on the surface, Jewish wisdom asks you to go deeper. What is this situation teaching me? What part of me is being triggered, and why? The long-term impact. If you spend your life seeing yourself as a victim of other people's actions, you will remain powerless. But if you learn to see every conflict as a mirror, every enemy as a teacher, you will grow beyond anything you thought possible. Daily application. When someone triggers you, instead of reacting, pause and ask, why does this bother me so deeply? What does my reaction reveal about me? What can I heal within myself so that this no longer has power over me? Now we come to the principle that most people will reject. The principle that separates those who transform from those who stay stuck. The principle that requires not just discipline, but faith. Here it is. Trust that the universe will balance the scales, even if you never see it happen. This is the hardest teaching in all of Jewish wisdom, because it requires you to let go of control. It requires you to release the need for closure, for vindication, for proof that justice was served. The Talmud teaches, "Vengeance is mine, says the Lord," not because God is petty, not because God wants to punish, but because God operates on a system of perfect justice that you cannot see, cannot understand, and cannot manipulate. When someone wrongs you, the natural instinct is to balance the scales yourself, to make sure they pay, to make sure they know they cannot get away with it. But Jewish wisdom teaches that this is the greatest trap, because the moment you take justice into your own hands, you interrupt the divine flow. You take on a burden that was never meant for you to carry. You tie yourself to your enemy in a karmic loop that will drain you for years. The sages taught that there are consequences for every action, but they do not always appear immediately. Sometimes the consequences come years later. Sometimes they come in ways you would never expect. Sometimes they come in the next generation, but they always come. This is midah keneged midah, measure for measure. The universe operates on precision. Every word, every action, every intention is recorded, weighed, and balanced. And when you choose silence, when you choose to walk away, when you choose to trust this system instead of forcing your own version of justice, you align yourself with a power far greater than anything you could orchestrate on your own. But here is why most people reject this principle. It requires patience. It requires you to sit in the discomfort of not knowing, to live with the uncertainty of whether your enemy will ever face consequences, to accept that you may never get the closure, the apology, the public vindication you crave. And in a world that demands instant results, instant gratification, instant justice, this feels unbearable. This is why so few people ever reach true mastery. Because mastery is not about doing the right thing when it feels good. Mastery is about doing the right thing when it feels impossible. The sages called this emunah, faith, not blind faith, not passive faith, but active trust in a system that you cannot see, but that governs everything. And here is the secret that will change everything. The people who abandon this principle early never experience the breakthrough. They give up after a few months. They see their enemy thriving and they think, "See? Silence does not work. Justice is not real. I should have fought back." But they do not realize that they are looking at the middle of the story, not the end. They do not realize that the scales are still balancing, that the consequences are still unfolding, that the very silence they abandoned was the key to their liberation. The Torah tells the story of Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. He had every reason to seek revenge, every reason to expose his brothers when he finally had power over them, but he did not. He chose silence. He chose forgiveness. He chose to trust that his suffering had a purpose beyond his understanding, and in the end his silence saved not just his family, but an entire nation. This is the principle. Your silence is not weakness, it is faith. It is trust. It is the highest form of spiritual warfare. And if you can hold it, if you can stay silent when everything inside you wants to scream, you will discover a power that most people will never know. So here is the choice before you today. You can keep fighting the battles. You can keep defending yourself. You can keep trying to prove your worth to people who will never see it. You can keep pouring your energy into reactions, into arguments, into a desperate need to be right. And you will be exhausted. You will be bitter. You will wonder why life feels so hard, why peace feels so far away, why you never break through to the next level. Or you can choose the ancient path, the path of silence, the path of discipline, the path of trust. You can choose to guard your tongue the way a king guards his treasury. You can choose to walk away from battles that do not serve your vision. You can choose to trust that the universe sees everything, knows everything, and will balance everything in its own time. And when you make this choice, when you truly commit to it, everything changes. Your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become sharper. Your presence becomes more powerful. The chaos that once consumed you begins to dissolve, and you find yourself standing in a space of peace you never thought possible. People will notice. They will wonder what happened to you. They will ask how you stay so calm, so focused, so unbothered by the noise that destroys everyone else. And you will smile because you will know something they do not. You will know that true power is not in the reaction. It is in the refusal to react. You will know that the most powerful revenge is not what you do to your enemy, but what you refuse to become because of them. And you will realize that this was never about them. It was always about you, about reclaiming your peace, about protecting your energy, about building a life so aligned with truth that your very existence becomes the answer to every lie, the proof against every accusation, the testimony that silences all doubt. This is the ancient code. This is the wisdom that has sustained the Jewish people through thousands of years of exile, persecution, and betrayal. This is the secret that transformed ordinary people into sages, into leaders, into lights in the darkness. And now it is yours. Take it, guard it, live it, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never imagined. May your silence be your strength. May your discipline be your freedom. May your trust in divine justice be your peace. And may you walk this path with dignity, with clarity, and with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that the universe is on their side. Before you go, I want to invite you to do two things. First, if this message has touched you, if you feel like this is the community you have been searching for, subscribe to this channel right now. We are building something rare here, a place where ancient wisdom meets modern life, a place where we go deep, not just wide, a place where transformation is not just a word, it is a way of life. Second, join our community. Share your journey with us. Let us know what country you are from, what challenges you are facing, and how this wisdom is showing up in your life. Because we do not just consume content here. We grow together, we support each other. We hold each other accountable to becoming the people we were always meant to be. This is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning. Welcome home.